Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Honkai Star Rail video, and today we've got version 1.6, so we've got some hype banners here, and I want to do a should you pull on these banners. So we have two main banners. We have one with Ruan Mei, and she is like one of the new really hype characters coming out, and then the other one has Blade on it. And then obviously the 4 stars are going to be the same. So what I want to do in this video is talk about a little bit about what each of the characters do to help you guys decide if you want to pull for these characters or not. And then talk about if I would recommend players pulling on these characters, right? So let's start with the new characters. So there's 2 brand new characters to the game here. So we're getting Ruan Mei and we're getting Xueyi. Xueyi is a 4-star character here. So let's actually maybe talk about her first. And actually what I probably need to do is let me go into the character trial page, because then we can just take like a closer look at them. But here's Xueyi. Now Xueyi is a quantum destruction character. It's kind of funny because when I think of destruction characters, I think of characters that do a lot of damage and like deplete health, right? That's like a pretty common thing of destruction. Xueyi is interesting because she acts a little bit more like an erudition character, where she's built more on follow-up damage than actually like, because she doesn't have anything in her kit that actually takes away HP, which I kind of like that, right? So she's a quantum, I guess you call her like a sub damage dealer. And the way that her follow-ups work is she has a counter that counts up to 8, and anytime you deal weakness damage to the enemy, it gets a stack. So you have to deal weakness damage 8 times. Now if you're doing AoE fights, it's going to stack up really fast, and then she's just going to do some AoE follow-up damage, right? Other than that, I mean, she's pretty basic. It's just dealing damage, getting follow-up attacks, things like that. You can kind of think of her as like a mini Himiko. Himiko is a more premium 5-star version of her, and Himiko only has to get 3 stacks, but Himiko only triggers when you break. So I think Xueyi, you're going to more consistently get stacks, but she just needs more stacks to get it. Now, if you're considering whether to pull for Xueyi or not, I think one big draw for her is if you're doing the full quantum setup. So if you're doing like a Sela, Silver Wolf, and then Link setup, and you need a 4th character to put in there, Xueyi can definitely fill that. But I would probably, like, if you're not interested in Ruan Mei or Blade, I don't know that I would actually jump in here just to get Xueyi, because if you're building the quantum team, on the horizon we've seen that there's actually a quantum harmony character coming out. And that character is, I believe, the premium character that people are going to want to fill out that full quantum team. So I would say if you're specifically just looking for a quantum unit, you might actually just want to be a little bit patient and wait and not really try to chase Xueyi. Now, if you are going for Ruan Mei or Blade, then Xueyi is a nice side pickup. You definitely could build her up and have fun with her on that quantum team, right? But yeah, I just kind of see her as just a nice little sub damage dealer that you could do if you wanted to fill out that quantum team. All right. So next, let's look at Ruan Mei, who's the other like brand new character, right? Now, Ruan Mei is kind of crazy. She's an Ice Harmony character. So one thing I'll say right away, if you're a Jinglu player like me, Ruan Mei could be a really nice character to fill out that team, because the way this game works, it's different than, you know, Genshin. You really want to have multiple elements. Now it's been years, actually it's been probably over a year since I played Genshin, so the game state could have maybe has changed a bit, but when I played Genshin back in the day, you always wanted a variety of elements because you did the elemental combinations and the mixing and all that stuff. This game's a little bit different, where you don't necessarily want to put a bunch of elements on the team because you want to be able to consistently break enemies, right? So if I'm doing fights where either I've got Silver Wolf to enable ice, or I'm doing more of an ice focused comp because I know the enemies are weak to ice, like Ruan Mei and Jinglu is a really, really nice combination. Now Ruan Mei being a harmony character, she's just going to fill that harmony slot on any team, and she's really our first big time premium harmony character since Bronya, and we've all seen how busted Bronya is, right? So what exactly does Ruan Mei do? Well, what she does is she's really focused on breaking and break effects. So this is, I feel like, the first character in the game that really, really benefits from the break effect stat, because that to me has kind of been the worst substat in the game, but not on Ruan Mei. She's very, very good with that break effect. So essentially what she does, so she does harmony things where she gives a lot of buffs. One notable buff is she does a lot of stuff for the party. Like all of her buffs are party buffs, so they're not, you know, whereas like Ting Yun is a lot of single target buffing, Ruan Mei is like all AoE buffing. And what she does is just for literally existing in the party, she gives your party like a 10% speed buff. So like literally just her on the team, your team is just automatically faster, which is really, really good. The thing she does that I think is really cool is she makes it so that when your party members attack a broken enemy, it'll put like this flower debuff over the enemy's head. And it makes it so that when the enemies would unbreak, they essentially kind of break again and take more break damage, and it extends their weakness state where they're broken. And the reason why keeping them the reason why Ruan Mei is so good is because breaking is like an essential part to like making the game easier, defeating hard bosses. Because when bosses or enemies are in their weakened state, they take 100% full damage. But if they're not broken, you're only doing 90% of your maximum damage to the enemies. So to get full damage, you want them broken. Now, the other thing she's going to do is she's going to increase the party's resistance penetration, which this makes it, and she also makes it just easier to break the weakness bar. So a couple of things. Weakness penetration, you can think of it as kind of like defense shred, but it's a different stat, which means it can stack with defense shredding. So you could pair Ruan Mei with, say, Silverwolf or Pela on a team comp, and you're getting resistance penetration and you're getting defense shred, and your damage is just going to be going crazy on these enemies. And she gives you 50% more break bonus, so like, or 50% more break ability. So like, if you were, say, going to break an enemy and yours was going to reduce the break bar by 30%, she would make it so you break it by 45% instead. So she makes you break the enemies quicker, she gives you a lot of break effect damage, and she makes it so the enemies essentially break twice. It's very, very good, on top of like the insane speed buff. And then she's also just doing like normal attack buffs in there too. And she gives herself a speed buff. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, all of the things that she's doing. They gave her a lot. Now, on top of all that, we haven't even talked about her value in simulated universe, right? So what they did with Ruan Mei, when you hear about her initially, you know, she's kind of described as a simulated universe specialist, but really there's only one part of her kit, and that's like the map talent ability that you have is really the only thing that's relevant for simulated universe. So most of her kit is just good everywhere, but then the simulated universe stuff makes it so that when like your characters use their talents on enemies on the map screen, it'll make it so that they'll break even if they're not the right typing. So she kind of makes your other party members always able to break. And then when you enter battle, you get really good break effect on that as well. So she's just a character that like she's going to have extra buffs in simulated universe. Now, normally on a character that would like specialize in a specific event, I usually wouldn't be that excited about it. But in Star Rail, simulated universe is probably the place you're going to spend most of your time. If you're a player like me that's had all the, like, you're caught up on all the content and you don't have anything to do, you're pretty much chilling in Simulated Universe or Forgotten Hall, right? In Simulated Universe, you have the base Simulated Universe where you have to do 2 runs a week to get your weekly points, so you're already guaranteed to be in that place a lot. But then on top of that, they added Swarm Disaster, and now with Ruan Mei's event, they added another new mode there. So Simulated Universe is just going to keep growing. So having Ruan Mei as a Simulated Universe specialist is actually kind of crazy. So I do think Ruan Mei is very, very much worth pulling for. Harmony units are pretty much essential. Like, you must have harmony units somewhere. They're going to be a core to team building. So if you don't have any good harmony units built up, it's going to make Ruan Mei very worth it, right? And then when we look at the other 4-star options, you know, we've got March 7th, who I adore. I really, really like March 7th. I think she's a great preservation unit. I've already done guides on her, so if you just want to check those out, you can. But she just puts big, fat, beefy shields down. March isn't a character that's, like, essential for a team comp, but she's very good at making you feel safe, right? So I think March is just a nice character to be picking up. Now, the thing with March is they have featured her quite a bit, and you get March for free at the beginning of the game, so a lot of players might have her done already. And then Ting Yun is probably the best 4-star harmony character in the game. But once again, she's been featured on a lot of banners. So I think a lot of players are already going to have March and Ting Yun built. But if you don't, they're really nice pickups to finish out. Now, the unfortunate thing for Ting Yun is, like, Ruan Mei, who you're already pulling for, is like the hard replacement for Ting Yun. Like, if you're using Ruan Mei, you're probably not going to use Ting Yun on the same team. But you do need multiple teams for Forgotten Hall and some other modes. So having Ting Yun as your second harmony character, if you're going for Ruan Mei, I still think is very good. So overall, I would say Ruan Mei's banner is a very good banner to pull on. I actually would recommend a lot of players to pull if you have the resources to do so. And she's a character where she might be Silverwolf territory where like if I haven't quite decided if I'm for sure going to go in on her or not because I just went on Silverwolf. But I feel like she's the type of character that if I don't get her, I might regret it because she does seem pretty dang busted. And I don't have any 5-star Harmony, like I never got Branya. Ting Yun is my only like built up Harmony character. So like I think for me, and I run Jinglu, right? So I feel like for me, this is a banner I might go in on. And I think I am like halfway to a pity, but I have to make the 50-50 on her if I get it. So we'll see. I might decide to go in and try to go for that 50-50, but I don't know that I'm going to throw down a bunch of dollars trying to get her. I might just, I don't know. I still have to decide, but I do think she is worthwhile getting. I would recommend most players go in on her if you have the resources to do so. I think Ruan Mei is going to be very, very good. Then we have Blade. So we can look at Blade here. Blade's pretty easy to describe. I mean, he's just a very good, he's like a top tier damage dealer, right? So you just have to look at your account and say, do I need a top tier damage dealer right now? If not, then don't worry about Blade. If so, yes. But the thing is I think before going in on Blade, I would recommend players go for Ruan Mei. So like the only way you're going for Blade here is if you have enough resources to get Ruan Mei and Blade. But I think most players, unless you're brand new, like you're going to have some DPS characters set already. And this is Blade's rerun, so you probably already have Blade if you really wanted him, right? So I would say I would go on the Ruan Mei side and probably skip Blade. Unless Blade's a favorite, you regretted missing him, and you do need that damage dealer, like he can be very good. He is the typical destruction character where he is going to deplete health. So you got to make sure you pair him with a healer because he does it on a larger scale. And he does have very powerful follow-up attacks. That trigger whenever somebody takes HP damage. So you can do some nasty combos where you have characters that deplete your own health, because I think that does trigger Blade's effect. So, you know, you could do a Jinglu Blade team, have Jinglu deplete health, that's going to trigger Blade, but then you're going to need some premium healing, because you're going to be depleting a lot of health on some of these teams. So, me personally, out of like the top tier damage dealers, Blade isn't my favorite just because I feel like he depletes a lot of health. So unless you have like some really good premium healers, it's a little bit tougher with Blade, but you definitely can get by with him. But I would say, yeah, for sure, I would recommend going in on the Ruan Mei banner here. I think she would be a very, very, very good pickup. So anyways, guys, let me know if you're going to summon for her or not, what you think of these banners. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.